This is a reading from chapter 9 of Luke 28, verses 28 to 36. It's called the Transfiguration. Now, about 8 days after this had been said, he took with him Peter and John and James and went up the mountain to pray. As he prayed, the aspect of his face was changed, and his clothing became brilliant as lightning. Suddenly, there were two men there talking to him. They were Moses and Elijah, appearing in glory, and they were speaking of his passing, which he was to accomplish in glory in Jerusalem. Peter and his companions were heavy with sleep, but they kept awake and saw his glory and the two men standing with him. As they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is wonderful for us to be here, so let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what he was saying. As he spoke, a cloud came over and covered them with shadow. And when they went into the cloud, the disciples were afraid. And a voice came from the cloud saying, "This is my son, the chosen one. Listen to him." And after the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. The disciples kept silent, and at that time told no one what they had seen.
Gosh, I could feel with Peter and being on that mountain with the Lord and seeing that aspect of the transfiguration just unfolding in front of him, and not want to feel that you could do something and provide a place for them to stay.
Yeah, at the moment I'm reading some work of a guy called Alfred North Whitehead, and he came up with a whole scheme in his book to deal with our experience, you know, so that we could know the whole world through our experience. This is what his scheme was to do. And I suppose the passage reminded me of the experience that the disciples were having, and also possibly Jesus as well. But the difference with North Whitehead's scheme was that he believed that as we think, we live. So this is kind of like a temporal thing, you know, up here. But actually, God was speaking to us through the words of the Bible with his immanence, you know, his complete infiniteness. You know, we don't need to think about God to make God exist. And I suppose the Bible reading reminded me that the power of God, the way that it's surrounded and experienced God, is something beyond, you know, what we would normally experience. Something that North Whitehead didn't account for.
So at the moment, I recently went through watching my sister have her first child, and I've never ever seen something like that in real life happen. And so that for me was like an experience in itself, just seeing the receiving of life coming into the world. And I was dead into it because the women in that room were saying, "Men can't handle this, can't see the birth of a child." And I sat there and I went, "Right, I'm staying right here, I'm going to watch this." And it just unfolded in front of me, and it was just a wonderful experience. And I was taken back I'm still taken back now at this child coming into the world and being a part of it. Like, I was scared of holding the child because we might cry and I might make everything all fall apart. We might drop the baby. But I've been playing with the child and talking, and the child's been trying to talk back to me. And I'm sitting there going, "Wow, this is so awesome." And I suppose Peter was going, "What's happening here?" And all these questions were developing. And just to be in the presence of something so beautiful.
Yes, I've had that experience myself, Johnny, with my own children. But I remember, you know, looking into the eyes of my own children, my own child, and when they were first born, and being really, really moved by that, you know, that God was there in the child's eyes somehow. was a remarkable experience, you know. It really was, isn't it?
And that lives with you forever, you know, that experience. And this weekend we're receiving him into the church through the sacrament of baptism. And then there's another step altogether, and where we all come together, like family and friends, and with the parents. And this child is the centre of it all. Yeah. And it's just like the cloud saying, "This is my son. Listen to him." And like the focus is on the Lord.
Yeah, totally. Yes, those moments are really touching and inspirational, aren't they? Yeah. Fantastic, life-giving things that we never seem to, you know, get away from. They're always with us somehow. It's remarkable. I'm sure the disciples were touched, you know, from the same way of this transfigured kind of
coming down that mountain.
And hurrying around in the thinking there, I'll get 3 tents together and we'll get it all sorted and we'll be all okay, you know, that kind of thinking human temporal world and that sort of thing. And God just wanted them to be, God wanted them to experience His, you know, His greatness, His infiniteness, His being enveloped like this.
In a way, we were kind of transformed by this reading, but also transformed in our own lives through the experiences we've had.
Sure, yeah.
And I felt that that child, so gentle, and yet you can't help but feel the joy in it.